Jack Van Cleaf, everybody, come on out. For you, my friend. Thanks for being here.
Happy to be here.
So Jack and I are going to chat for a little bit, and then we're going to do some audience Q&A for any folks who might have pressing, burning questions. The more burning, the better. And then I think you're going to go off for a second, and then they're going to go back, and Jack's going to play.
Yeah, so hopefully we'll get to some music afterward. Yeah.
Yes, so a little lay of the land here. So Jack has a new record called JVC.
Correct.
Came out, I think, this month, yes?
Yes, yeah, it did.
Hot off the presses. And on this record, there's a song called Shouldn't Have Gone to L.A.
Uh-oh.
I feel like we needed to start there.
Yeah, good starting point.
Yeah,
for sure.
So offended, first off.
Yeah, and I'm sorry.
Yes. Yes.
Didn't mean to do that to y'all.
But it was inevitable because you grew up in San Diego.
It is, yeah. I was just talking to Austin, my guitarist, backstage. We both grew up in San Diego, and you're kind of bred to hate this beautiful city. I'm so sorry. Yeah, I'm coming around. That's a big part of it.
Painful to drive up the 5 here?
It is. It's terrible. I don't know. We keep widening the highway. It doesn't get any better. I will say it got a lot better when I started taking the train. It's a beautiful ride, so much less stressful and dependable 2 hours, not like anywhere from 1.5 to 3, like you do when you drive.
Interesting. This isn't about me, but I've never done the train.
Oh, definitely recommend it.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
Cool.
You get so much closer to the ocean.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah.
When you grew up in San Diego, did you feel like a part of some kind of musical notion in San Diego? Did you feel plugged into some kind of musical tradition there?
I did, yeah. I feel like it's even growing more now. Every time I go back, there's a bit more of a music community.
I should say Jack now lives in Nashville. So.
I do, yes, yeah. The transition to Nashville, though, was definitely stark, where it's a much more saturated music community, and I was used to being the music kid at my high school. So even if there was a music community in San Diego, and there was, which I'm really appreciative of, it was a big jump to go to Nashville from there.
Why did you move? You went to Belmont.
I did.
Is that why you moved?
Yes, yeah. It was the only place I knew I could major in commercial songwriting. So.
Yeah. Okay. So talk about that. I mean, obviously, you grew up writing songs, like sort of discovering your voice as a songwriter. Yes.
Yeah.
High school.
Yes. Yeah. In high school.
So then, I wonder what the instinct is that says, "Let me try to I don't know, bring some formal shape to this or professionalize this," or what was the thinking for someone who was already kind of figuring out how to write songs? What made sense to you about going to school to try to do something to that?
Yeah, even coming out of it, I'm still like, can you teach? I don't know, songwriting. Right. It's kind of it's nebulous. I think that's why they called it commercial songwriting as a major, because that was the only way they could kind of grade you. It was like, well, they want to play this on the radio, so F. But I avoided the Fs mostly. But I did get told one time I played a song in the class, and the teacher was pretty honest, and he said, "Yeah, you kind of wrote a Bob Dylan song without a Bob Dylan hook." And so I sat on that one for a couple more years before tweaking it and getting it to a place where I thought maybe he would approve. But
did you have to get in? Did you have to write a song as an audition or a tryout?
Yes, yeah, I had to submit a couple songs that I'd written so far in my career.
Good?
I still play them. So
Hey.
yeah, the ones I submitted, I still play them. So I guess I could stand by that.
You were songwriting, but I wonder if you covered songs as part of your education at Belmont.
No, not too much. It was mostly, they wanted to make sure we were, we had a lyric writing class. We had one commercial melody writing class, which was really, really interesting for me, because melody is something I could just kind of go with whatever comes up first. And I took a lot out of that class. I would take it again in a heartbeat.
Can you, I don't know, take any given song on this new record? Are there things that you can sort of see, oh yeah, I kind of, if not learned how to do that at school, kind of this refined something that I'm doing now?
I would say the thing I would point to the most was the discipline of writing every day and sticking with something if it's not feeling right yet. There was a lot of songs on this record that I sat with for years, and still to this day, after we recorded them, I was like a little bit unsure if they were done, but I think my training in school made me stick with it a little longer than I might have otherwise.
What would maybe you actually know this because you did it, but I wonder what a songwriting teacher would say about your song Rattlesnake, which was kind of like, I think it's fair to say, your breakout song.
Yeah.
What would a teacher have said what would a teacher have said about the sort of songwriting of that tune?
Good question. I think the first thing I would have said was like, "Oh, no repeating chorus. That's an interesting choice." They might not
Interesting
have liked that.
choice,
Yeah,
right?
they're not necessarily in the good way.
Backhanded. Yeah.
Yeah. um, but they were big on our use of figurative language and metaphor, and I think they helped us sharpen that skill, and I think that song revolves around that. So hopefully they would have liked that, but that might be all I could point to make them happy.
Right. A lot of strong images, a lot of vivid images in Rattlesnake. I wonder, but just break it down for us a little bit. Like, what was the first, if it was an image, a first image in that song? What was the earliest little bit of that song that you had?
It's kind of a disappointing answer.
Great.
I just wanted to write a song called Rattlesnake.
Is that true?
That was the first thing. Yeah,
Why?
I was like, I just thought about a rattlesnake. I write from titles a lot, and it literally was as simple as that. It was like, that would be interesting to have a song that was called Rattlesnake, and the first draft of it is very different from what it ended up being, and yeah, I just kind of discovered what the message I was looking for was as I was writing it. But yeah, a lot of the time the sources of inspiration are really nothing deep at all. It's just the initial image and wanting to write from a title like that.
Did it, I mean, in some ways this isn't your sort of job to ponder, it's other people's, but nonetheless, I'll ask you, what do you think it is about that song that kind of drew people's attention? I mean, you've written enough, you've studied the art of songwriting, you have some ability to look at things, if not objectively, at least sort of academically or philosophically. What is it about that song, do you think, that broke out, that broke through?
I think people connect with the central metaphor in the song, the one line that compares love to a rattlesnake.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the obvious interpretation of it is something that we all relate to, and heartbreak, and in retrospect, seeing warning signs of that would have made you see the heartbreak coming beforehand.
Yeah.
But you didn't when you were in it. But I actually wrote the line not intending to communicate that exactly, more so talking about myself and trying to reassure myself where I thought I was going to hurt somebody, that, well, at least I'm like trying to warn them through all these like kind of borderline shitty things I'm doing. Yeah, so I think that, again, didn't come out as the most explicit interpretation of the song, but I have talked to people that did interpret it that way as well, and it's both interpretations I think are very valid, but maybe it's the fact that it can be interpreted both ways that connected with people.
You re-recorded Rattlesnake for your new record with Zach Bryan.
Yeah.
I wonder, I mean, some people have plenty of experience re-recording their songs, obviously. Taylor Swift comes to mind. But I would say, generally speaking, it's not something that musicians kind of spend a lot of time doing. What was it like to go back and kind of reimagine a song of yours in a kind of a different context?
It was so liberating. I get so in my head when I get into the studio that this is going to be the final version of whatever I'm making, and it's got to be right. Completely opposite of how I feel when I'm on a stage, where it's just one chance to give people a performance of something, and that usually makes me feel very liberated. So getting the chance to reinterpret something and then feeling like, oh, maybe I'll get to do that again with any other given song, because they're constantly evolving as you're playing them out over and over again. It just made me feel just like full of opportunity with my whole catalog. And Zach specifically was really, really good at fostering that energy in the studio. He came in and we were getting ready to record it track by track, instrument by instrument, and he insisted that we actually just do it live, sit around in a ring in the tracking room, and we did a take we liked, and I would have done like probably 12 more after that, and he had the knowledge to be like, no, let's stop there, listen to what we just did, and that's what we ran with, and it made it fun, which is so important. You can hear that in the recording if it's fun or not, and I really hope to carry his spirit forward with that, especially if I get to reinterpret stuff again in the future.
It's funny that like a guy who by your own admission kind of maybe overthinks things or just like gets a little bit precious about it, or
Totally.
I mean, Zach Bryan strikes me as a guy, and this motherfucker's got like 8,000 songs. So he's obviously not a guy who overthinks
pumping
it.
them out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's funny that you would have connected in that way, given you seem to have completely opposite methodologies.
Totally. I think I would say that my methodology isn't exactly by choice. So it felt just good to feel freed from that and draw inspiration from that. And like I said, hopefully move forward, taking a lesson there.
What's something about the sort of the remake of Rattlesnake that feels like, I just never would have envisioned this happening in my song that I wrote?
Oh, the trumpets. I didn't think I was going to do a whole trumpet section of that song at all. He came in the second day we were recording. He had called Eddie, the producer, and said that we were bringing in a whole horn section. And I was like, whoa, I have no idea what to expect with this. And I was kind of hesitant at first, but really glad I followed his lead on it. It just added a whole different texture to it that I would have never anticipated.
Totally. I wonder, like, I mean, horn, that could go in a lot of different ways. I mean, you were like, is this going to be Earth, Wind, and Fire? What is this going to be? Like, what did when he brought up the idea of horn section? What did you think? What kind of horns? I guess is what I'm wondering. What you were thinking.
I knew he was, and I think still is, kind of like having a Springsteen phase. He's really, really,
of course,
big into Springsteen right now, and that's kind of where my mind went. And I think that's the way he steered it as well.
You care about Springsteen?
He's growing on me a little bit. I liked Nebraska a lot. A couple years ago, I was listening to Nebraska quite a bit. But I haven't dove into. I've listened to a lot of Springsteen covers, like Mumford & Sons covered "I'm on Fire" when I was like a teenager, and I loved that. Yeah, that was my first introduction to him.
Yeah. Let's talk a bit about this record, JVC. This is like a pretty heavy record. Yeah. Like, there's a lot of like heavy shit, maybe even dark shit on this record.
I would say so. Definitely.
Did you know it was going to be a heavy record like before you made it, or did that kind of come out as you just started writing songs?
I think the two went hand in hand, kind of. As I think the minute I started realizing I was writing a record, I realized what the tone of the record was going to be, and it was there were songs that were coming out of a time when I was feeling very heavy and dark about life. I had just graduated from college, which is a long time ago now, but I knew I wanted to do music, but I didn't know how to structure that on a daily basis at all. I was completely lost. I was so used to people telling me where to be and what to do at a certain time every day. And that sent me into a tailspin. And I got really existential and spent a lot of time. I started going to therapy, and that, I guess, kind of triggered looking back at my childhood as well, and trying to figure out, okay, why this is who I was, this is who I am right now. I know where I want to be, and why am I having trouble connecting the dots right now? And I think this record was kind of a process in that, connecting the dots, and it was tough. There was a lot of question marks, so I think I wanted to make sure that was communicated. And
would you say therapy was good for songwriting or bad for songwriting, for your songwriting?
I think ultimately good, at a macro level, stepping back and looking at it, helped me process some stuff that I probably wouldn't have unearthed otherwise. But there was one time I went to therapy and went straight home and wrote a song. But otherwise, I think I tried to steer clear of like getting too much of the therapy talk into my songwriting, because it probably would have sounded like therapy talk and songwriting, so I didn't want to.
Can you tell us which song you went home and wrote?
It actually didn't end up making the record.
Oh, so. To your point.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go. I mean, I think the reason I ask is because I think the kind of really striking thing you do on this record is you write super clearly. You write with really extraordinary clarity about I think, a feeling of feeling unclear about sort of where you are in the world and
Oh,
who
thank
you are
you.
and what you're supposed to be. Just song after song, the sort of the precision with which you capture this emotional kind of state, it's really impressive.
Thank you so
Um,
much.
I wonder, like, I don't know, how do you sort of know? I mean, the reason you write songs, you don't talk about them, so I understand that it's like ridiculous to ask you to explain the process. But like,
Oh.
I wonder how you sort of know that you've captured something in your mind in words. Words are so, I mean, words are amazing. Words can be beautiful, but they're also oftentimes insufficient to the task, right?
Absolutely.
And so, like, how do you kind of know, yes, I got this feeling down, I
Yeah.
captured it?
Sometimes the less words, the better, I guess.
Mm.
Like I said, there's a lot of songs on the record that still I didn't quite. I got it as best as I could, and I wasn't sure at the end of the day still that I said what I meant. But they're out there now, and they that kind of helps them feel finished as well.
What's one where you feel like I did get it? You feel confident about?
Smoker, the song "Smoker" on the record
Yeah.
was one that came out really quickly, and that's kind of why I said the less words, the better. I wanted to write really abstractly. I was writing about how I felt as a kid,
Yeah.
and all you have to work with there are these disjointed images from years and years ago, and I felt like that was kind of the only way to describe it was these vignettes, um, and I think it's the spaces in between the words, the things that are left unsaid, that made me actually feel like I was communicating something that felt like exactly what I was trying to communicate. That,
Mm.
like you're saying, I couldn't really say word for word right now. But
Yeah. How did knowing what you were going to be talking about on this record and knowing the kind of emotional life that you were trying to illuminate, how did that lead you to the sound of the record?
yeah, it was a very intentional process. I wanted to record the record in the desert because I felt like I was kind of living in an emotional desert at the time,
Mm.
looking for signs of life. I kept the color green came up a lot,
Yeah.
which isn't really consistent with desert imagery exactly, but it is kind of the only color that you can hope to find in the desert. A little plant here and there,
Yeah.
and yeah. Anyway, sorry. Backtrack. We went to record in the desert. We did it in Joshua Tree for a little bit. That actually felt a little too lush for me with the Joshua trees. So we wanted to go even further into desolation, and the West Texas felt really right. It was just nothing for miles. And sonically, we wanted to kind of recreate that feeling. My producer Alberto and I spent a lot of time peeling back layers and just deleting stuff that we recorded to try to make sure it was just what we wanted. There's plenty of space.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes it's like, I mean this in a nice way, but it's almost uncomfortably sparse
Oh, thank you.
sometimes.
All right,
You
good.
know what I mean?
Yes, that's what we
There's
wanted.
like nowhere to hide.
Yeah,
That kind of
yes,
quality.
absolutely. Yeah.
What does a desert sound like to you? Like, what is the idea of a desert? What does that connote musically in your mind?
I think there's an organicness to it. We wanted banjos and acoustic guitars to be at the forefront, but also the expansiveness, being able to see for miles. In every song, I think I wanted some production element to create that expansion, and like maybe it's a sweeping electric guitar or something that feels like it's just reaching out forever. Um, that both contributes to filling the space, but also being singular and sparse.
I like that Joshua Tree was too it's too
I was
nice.
surprised. Yeah, it was just there was just a little too much going on.
Got to get somewhere really desolate. Let me ask you about a couple of individual songs. The song "Using You."
Yeah.
That's an interesting one because that to me, like that in some ways is a classic bit of sort of classic country songwriting, the sort of the metaphor, the kind of like lyrical device. How did "Using You" happen?
That was one I wrote also in a flash. I was doing a challenge to myself to write 100 songs in 100 days, and that one came out and then sat in the voice memos for a few months. And then when I moved home to San Diego for a couple years, I was mining through my voice memos and found that and thought it was just kind of fun. Polished it up a little bit, and it didn't actually take its like country shape until I played it with my friends in the band Field Guide, who are based in Canada. They came down to Nashville to play a show and invited me to play a couple songs on stage. I was like, oh, maybe I'll try this new one. and Dylan and Field Guide was like, "Oh, I'm glad you finally wrote a country song." And I was like, "I had no idea this was a country song, but cool." And he filled it out with a baritone guitar and everything, and that made me see. I was like, "Yeah, this is how I want it to be."
I mean, you know, there's a lot of songs that kind of equate love with drugs.
Yeah,
This is a trope we know, but this one is like really sharp. I mean, I can't recall someone. You know, you can be the lighter to my spoon. That's a vivid metaphor. How did you know when you started writing it? You know, there's a lot of songs that do this kind of approach. Was that an impetus to sort of like make it sharper than anybody else's in a sense? Do you know what I mean?
I don't think it was. I don't think I even thought I was going to lean so heavy into that metaphor when I started writing the song. I really just wanted to write about the sensation of using someone for attention because that's what I felt like I was doing at the moment. And yeah, we just really leaned into it the more I was writing.
100 songs in 100 days. Why that?
I had heard someone else in our community in Nashville had done it, and they recommended it. And I found a prompt online. I didn't end up using it, but they had 100 prompts, which were really, really interesting.
Hit me with some of the prompts that you
The first one was "Imagine you're the last person on Earth" and write a song about that. And I've written 2 songs that I'm still workshopping that from that prompt. One of which, when I was reading "The Road" by Cormac McCarthy, which is that was a dark time.
Imagine you're the last person on Earth. What's the song you'd write? That was the prompt?
That was the prompt, yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. And then the one directly following it was like, write a song about a fun night out. It was really went the whole range.
Did you do that one?
I tried that one, didn't go so well. Yeah, I was better at the dark one, I guess.
Yeah. Wait, are you good at our prompts? Is that something that gets your wheels turning?
I really do like them. I missed that from school a lot. That was one of the big things I missed.
Interesting. What are some others that you might remember?
My song "Cowboy" was a prompt from school, from a class. We were just supposed to write a song in an open tuning, but I had some other ideas milling around. But that prompt got me to bring those ideas out of the notes app and give it a shape. Another song on that same record from "Fruit from the Trees," "Margot," was a prompt song. There might be another one in there, but yeah.
Did you indeed do 100 songs?
I recorded 100 voice memos
Okay.
of something. One of them was like complete mumbling to a little like I had gotten like a Christmas gift that had it was like one of those Grand Marnier chocolates.
Yeah.
And I was just like singing to it like nonsense.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff like that that's like literally makes no sense and it's disgusting to listen to. But
do you find I think that a songwriter needs to be okay with embarrassment because I think that like getting in touch with your own embarrassment is like key to finding some kind of emotional truth. Are you comfortable when you listen back to these things? I'm sure some of them are, no offense, embarrassing. Are you okay with that, or does it make you squirm?
I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
I'm listening to them in the privacy of my own room. Not sharing them with anybody. So.
Yes.
And sometimes it's funny, you can get a good laugh out of it. I definitely agree with you that like you got to filter through so much weird shit to get something that you like. That's why co-writing is tough. I'm still learning to love that, and I think I still only feel comfortable doing it with very close friends that I feel okay to be very embarrassed around.
Yeah, you got to be comfortable to show your weirdest or perhaps shittiest ideas to somebody.
Absolutely, and not in a cute way either. People say that, and you're like, oh yeah, you can say that because you're like being embarrassing in a nice way, but like, this is like really embarrassing.
Yes, it is truly embarrassing. Let me detour for a second before I get to this other song because I mean Nashville, of course, like co-writing is that's the way. Is that something you've tried? Is that something you're interested in? Like, does that world make any sense to you?
I go back and forth, and a lot of the songs on this record were co-written.
Yeah.
Even a song on "Fruit from the Trees," "Rattlesnake," there was a line that I got stuck on that my buddy Max Marshall helped me finish up. In this new record, like I said, a lot of them I was sitting with for a while, got stuck, and took it to a dear friend to help me rescue it. There's a lot more co-writing credits on this album. But like I said, usually with people I trust very, very closely, with some exceptions. But yeah, I go back and forth on being able to just write something that feels true to me in a room with a stranger.
Yeah, I mean I've talked to so many Nashville songwriters where they're like, "Yep, you show up at 9 a.m. and you got your cup of coffee, and some person you've never fucking met comes in, and then you talk about bullshit, and then you write a song."
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
it seems insane.
Totally, and it could be fun, and there's
Sure.
a lot of safety in that routine. It's nice to it gives you structure, and like, well, someone's counting on me to be there to write a song today.
Yeah.
That helps a ton.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a lot more challenging to get something that feels like really true to
Totally. Remember Katrina.
Yeah,
This is an interesting song. I mean, first off,
thank you.
I mean, look, you might not say that to me, this song is about, I don't know if about, but it's about climate change
Yeah,
to some extent.
yeah, it is.
Which, if you told me, I mean, I'm all for saving the earth, but if you walked in here and say, "Hey, man, I got a new song about climate change," I'd be like, "No, thank you. See yourself out. I don't want to hear that shit.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
seems like it'd be horrible."
Yeah.
But this is an amazing song. Like,
Thank
this
you
is a
so
song about like people and about memories and about how did you write Remember Katrina?
That was another one I wanted to reach back into childhood,
Yeah.
and I've been explaining it as a song that's about the fear, more than anything, fear, what you feared as a child and what you fear as an adult, and how those things overlap. And there's lots of fears that we outgrow as we get older. But this song was about those things that you look back on that were scary as a kid and have only become more scary as you've gotten older, like Katrina, and climate change and the big earthquake. Like, I mean, live in constant fear. So, yeah, that was another one that we brought to some co-writers to help finish it up, because it was a tough one to explain what I was trying to get across.
Well, I think you just explained it well, and
Thanks.
so well that I'm like, that's such a, I mean, I'm not just gassing you up, but that's a very profound idea. And I'm like, how did you think of that? Like, what an interesting idea to write a song about. I mean, is that typical of your brain that you just think of these like weird scenarios and then you write a song from it?
I think, the songs that interest me the most are those, weird scenarios that it at least feels like a novel idea in my
Yeah,
head.
totally.
But the song came from the title. It came from, I think I was just driving, and Hurricane Katrina came to my mind, and I realized that even though was so scared of it as a kid, hearing about how terrible it was, I didn't grasp the gravity of it even then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Do you have any relationship? I mean, we talked about co-writing. Do you feel like you have any kind of relationship to the country music industry in Nashville?
I think that's kind of a recent, just starting to be, obviously collaborating with Zach. He's very plugged in, and that's just started to develop. But feel a close tie to country music. When I was a kid, it's what my parents listened to.
Oh, is that true?
Yeah, Garth Brooks was some of my favorite music when I was a kid. Thunder
Yeah.
Rolls was like my favorite song.
Whoa, what a story, man.
Yeah, it's a great one.
Yes.
And it was actually a really beautiful full circle moment when I first got to Nashville. They had a welcome seminar for the songwriting majors, and the co-writer for the Thunder Rolls came in and started talking, and we knew he was a collaborator with Garth Brooks. I didn't know what he'd written, but he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna play one song for y'all. This is one me and Garth wrote. It's called The Thunder Rolls," and he just played it, and I was just like shook. I couldn't believe I was in the same room as someone that had like made me fall in love with music as a little kid.
Yes. I'm just riffing here, but I think the thing that's interesting about your work is that it's super, like, I feel like you listen to your music and you're super deep inside. As a listener, you get super deep inside your brain. Like, that's kind of like the experience that I have listening to your music.
Nice.
And I think that's kind of like not at all the way that Nashville works. I mean, Thunder Roll is a perfect example. It's a masterpiece of psychological observation.
Right.
But you never really feel like you're inside anybody's brain. You're sort of watching this story play out,
Yeah.
which I think is like a fundamentally different approach from what you do,
Well, it's interesting you say that, because I do have an EP of 3 murder ballads that are completely completely separate. I
So talk
took a
about
step
that.
back.
Why did you want to do that?
They feel like completely different muscles in my brain. I agree with you that those songs that feel like they're opening a door to my mind are a little dearer to me, and like I actually feel a bit more of a connection when I'm playing them live. But writing a story is so fun, and you do develop connection through that as well. But yeah, maybe it is more for like the fun of it, to write a story.
Do those songs feel emotionally? Are you emotionally invested in them?
I am. One of those murder ballads, The Case of Bucky Breyer, is about jealousy in in the arts, and that's something I definitely relate to. And even though I haven't killed anybody over it, but
Yet.
not yet.
Yet.
It'd be a terrible time to do that. I'm kind of liking how things are going right now.
Yeah. Real roadblock in the old career. We're burning down the highway skyline on the back of a hurricane that started turning when you were young. That's a line from The Killers, as you know, When You Were Young, which I've heard you say was one of your like top 3 songs of all time.
I didn't know if you knew that. I was like, oh my God, whoa.
Yeah, no, I knew that.
That's probably my favorite line from the song.
Okay, so let's unpack that line, because I think I've always thought this is one of the most insane lyrics in like rock music history.
Yeah.
We're burning down the highway skyline on the back of a hurricane that started. It just keeps piling up.
Yeah.
It like starts insane and then it just keeps getting insaner.
Yeah.
Why do you like that song and that lyric?
I don't know if I could explain it really, because it just
Give it a
feels
try.
like I'll do my best, but it really does just move me for some reason. And it's the same for my other favorite song, "Kids" by MGMT. But it just feels so all encompassing. It stretches to I guess, like I was saying about this record, like from childhood to where you are to where you want to be, and it's like that line makes me feel like someone had the power to just see their entire life and then capture it in one line, and beautifully. You want to look at it, you want to keep listening to that over and over again.
I think what's interesting about that line, and I think that you get at this a couple times on this new record of yours, is that when I read those lyrics out loud, like you try to like imagine what that would actually look like, right? Like on the back of a hurricane. That's like, the images kind of fall apart when you're talking about it like literally.
Yeah.
But there's a poetic momentum to them that I think that you do a lot too, where you start a song with a certain kind of image or a certain metaphor, and then you sort of keep developing it throughout the song in a way that, I don't know, it's really powerful. It feels really poetic.
Oh, thank you so much. I mean, that's a huge honor to be, compared to that line. It's.
Are you a big reader?
I am, yeah.
Yeah?
Slow reader, but I do like to read.
How slow?
Extremely.
Like a book a month?
It's going to be less than that.
Did you read as a kid?
No, I didn't love it as a kid that much. I think I fell in love with it in my junior year English class in high school.
What lit you up? What,
The Grapes of Wrath was,
Sure.
and I actually didn't finish it in that class. It was, and slow reader, couldn't keep up, but they brought that one in. I was like, oh my God, I like reading. This is a great book. And then the next book after that was The Things They Carried, and that was the first time I finished a book ahead of the class. So that was a big moment for me.
It is very short. So.
Yes, yeah, good and short. yeah, big text on the pages. It was perfect. I went back and finished The Grapes of Wrath probably 5 years ago, and it stood up. It held up. It's my favorite book, I think.
Yeah. You know what's funny? Again, not about me, but I'll hit you with this.
Yeah.
I love music. I love reading. I hate audiobooks. I hate that shit.
Yeah.
It seems like you'd love it. It seems like I would love it.
Yeah.
Because I look at listening. I hate it.
Yeah.
What's your vibe on audiobooks?
I think it takes away from the creative interpretation of reading. Like there's one less element for you to imagine.
Yes.
So I would agree with that. If it's a book I really care about, I would prefer it not to be an audiobook. Definitely not for my first read. But if it's something like, Green Lights by Matthew McConaughey, I'm gonna listen to the audiobook.
That's fair. That's fair. All right, my guy. We're going to open up to questions in the audience. If any folks have, you could just yell them out if you feel comfortable doing that. Anyone?
Yeah, please. Anybody?
Anyone? Things you've always wanted to know?
It was a lot of back and forth. Yeah, I mean, I think I still, I mean, the day job still, I think, kind of looms in the corner of my mind. I'm like, oh, do I need to get one right now? And I might, I might. I was working in restaurants. I worked at a bakery in Nashville for a while, and I loved public facing jobs like that, interacting with people. Made a lot of good friends. When I moved back to Nashville after living in San Diego, I got a job at a Mexican restaurant there and finally got to be officially a server at the restaurant. And I was always on my bucket list. And so that was the last one I've worked. So glad we got to do it. Oh yeah, it was yeah it was when signed my actually I hadn't signed the record deal yet, but looked like I was going to, so I quit the job and went and recorded the record all before I signed the deal, just like crossing my fingers that we were still going to be signing a deal in a couple weeks. But yes, that was what freed it up. Yeah, yeah, that and touring. It's kind of like a mix of like, all right, well, financially, I think I can swing it now, and also like there's a tour coming up that is going to require that I be away for a long amount of time that I won't get to keep this job. So, yeah, thanks for asking.
When you collaborate with somebody like Jack Bryan, do you stay in contact with him afterwards? Like, what is that communication like after the fact?
I think it's probably, I mean, I haven't collaborated with anyone else like Zach as far as like in his sphere. Actually, well, no, I went on tour with Noah as well, and you know they're very comparable as far as what their careers are like right now. But yeah, in Zach's case, we keep in touch a lot. He's such a fun guy. Like I explained in the studio story, he's super spontaneous and just happened to like show up at my show in Denver a couple weeks ago because he was on a motorcycle trip across the country. And he's we keep in touch. I consider him a friend for sure. Same with Noah as well.
You, for people who don't know, you opened for Noah Khan on tour, and I wonder, like, have you put any thought into why songwriters like Noah, Zach Bryan, and plenty of others we're sort of living in a golden age of songwriting right now, and it's connecting on just a huge mass level. Have you thought about why? Like, why is it that guy with acoustic guitar singing songs is like happening in such a big way right now?
I guess I haven't thought about it too heavily, but I guess I think I believe that things are moved that way in a pendulum a little bit. So maybe it's a reaction to kind of getting our pop fix for a while. And I mean, in the same way, in 2011, I feel like it was very similar when Mumford and Sons first put out their Sign No More record, and that's what got me into indie folk music. And then it felt like we stepped away from that for a while, and it's kind of a revival. So
I will tell you about this about Mumford and Sons. Not that you asked.
Yeah.
I was at Coachella and Mumford and Sons was there, like as a surprise, whatever.
yeah,
I was like, oh, that'll be like nice, but maybe embarrassing for them. And it was like an unbelievably huge crowd. I was like,
Yeah.
I mean, no shots, but I did not know that people still cared about Mumford and Sons.
totally. Yeah, I mean, they kind of got memeified for a second.
Yes.
Like they and I
The
think
suits and the weird guy who left the band and all the shit.
right. I know
like
it's
there's
such
a
a
lot going
crazy
on.
saga. Yeah, but they also like kind of leaned into that like before it even happened. They had that one music video with like Jason Bateman, and they were all
Yes.
like
Oh,
making
yeah,
fun
yeah,
of him. I
That's
love
right.
that video. So I think they like rode the wave really well.
Yes.
When people weren't like so into their image.
Yes.
And I think people that are making acoustic organic music right now all like grew up listening to that, so it's
totally.
a big
Well, the
response to them right
Lumineers
now.
too. Like, I
Yes,
think it's
totally.
insane that the Lumineers, like, I just never would have thought that they'd be playing arenas, at this point in their
Yeah.
career. But in my experience, the Zachs and the Noahs of the world, the Shabuzis of
huge
the
fans
world
of 'em.
are like, this is our fucking Dylan. You know what I mean? This is
Yeah,
our Springsteen.
totally.
It's crazy.
Yeah, Zach's a huge Lumineers fan.
Totally.
Yeah.
Fascinating. Yeah.
Seems like there's a fine line between sentimentality and sincerity in art. Do you have a key to kind of walking that line, or do you keep that in mind when you write?
Just like as far as like not overdoing it, not like being totally. I think it goes along with what we were saying about having to write pretty embarrassing stuff in private. Definitely verges on the sentimental. And I think I just check in with myself as far as like if it feels true or not. I think it's like a Hemingway writing advice. You know, it's just you as long as it feels like it's true, even if it does feel sentimental, you've got that to hold on to. So um, that's kind of what I go by, my compass on that.
Do the grimmest songs you write, the bleakest songs you write, the darkest songs you write, when you go on to perform them, do you find them comforting to revisit those moments? Is it what's it like to look? I can imagine that for a songwriter, you got the thing out. You sort of exercise the feeling, if you will, and that's I
Yeah.
bet gratifying or healing. But what's it like to kind of revisit those moments in a song, like as a performer?
Part of it's cathartic for sure.
Yeah.
We're playing it because to a degree people connect, and yeah, we feel like we're not alone in that. But there is an element to where I'll sing one of the darker lines over and over again, and I'm just like, God, I hope nobody like connects to this right now. Like I don't.
Interesting.
Um, I guess kind of like you were saying, like sometimes it's so dark that I feel better now, and I don't want to. Maybe it feels like it's verging on sentimental because like I'm not there at that moment, but um, it nonetheless was true at a time, and I think for that reason remains true.
I wonder, it's like, I think sometimes I was talking to a dude, man, from Iron and Wine once.
Oh yeah.
And he's like, I know what people come to me for. It's emotional porn. Like, that's what
Oh
they
my
want.
God.
They want to come and they want to just like feel horribly, wonderfully shitty. And
Yeah.
it's like, whoa, that's a crazy job to have for an artist. And like, maybe the same is true for you to some extent.
I wouldn't have thought to say that, but
Right. It's a vivid phrase. Yeah.
Yeah.
When you went or applied to school for songwriting, were you going into it thinking you were going to be an artist or like a songwriter for others?
I've always held on to the artist streams. That was the goal. And I think there's a couple moments where I thought like, oh, would it? I think the program opened my mind to also maybe writing for others. But I was maybe my ego was too big to let go of the artist part of it.
My part two to that is then like I went to Belmont as well.
Oh,
I made
nice.
a lot of friends in the
What?
songwriting program. And I feel like some of them walked away from it feeling like they had to like unlearn certain habits of the formulaic side of songwriting as opposed to
Yeah.
just the feeling side of it. Like, did you feel like that was something that you struggled with while in that program, or did you just know consciously to take what you wanted and sort of leave some of the other stuff, with it?
I, I would agree that I think I had to unlearn a little bit of the formulaic part of it. It is like I said, the only thing they can grade you on is if it's commercially viable or not, and the only way they can judge if something's commercially viable is if it's been done before. So you got to unlearn that if you want to try to stay original. And not saying that I'm succeeding that all the time, but I would agree that you have to do that. Not too deeply, I don't think, because also that is important. I think it's important to the rules are there for a reason and they're there to be broken. But I don't wish I was writing songs that were so esoteric that nobody related to them. But it goes both ways. Like I'll listen to songs that are so well done and so commercially well done that I'll wish that I leaned more into that, and then I'll listen to a song that like shouldn't work at all, but it does, and I'd wish I was more artist leaning, and more creative in that way. But yeah, what class were you at Belmont? Okay, cool, nice. Yeah, not too far off.
Who's a singer, just to as a thought experiment? Who's a singer that you love? You love their voice. You love the way they sing. That it would be amazing to write a song for.
Oh wow. Casey Musgraves has been up there for a while, but she writes a lot of her own stuff.
That's a
So
good call. That's a good call.
yeah.
Anyone else? Yeah.
You know the adage, never meet your heroes.
Oh yeah.
And I'm wondering if you ever in your career had sort of the opposite experience where you got to work with someone that you looked up to or write with them or whatever, where they were more than you had expected or better than you had expected.
Um, I would say, I mean, I immediately think of Noah and Zach, and yeah, I admire them both as artists a lot. I would say the biggest surprise was liking them so much as people. They were, yeah, both individually and in their own unique ways. People that stuck with me. Noah was like the funniest person in the world. I didn't anticipate that at all, but yeah, I would say that was a big surprise.
Who sucked?
Who's I haven't met anyone that sucked yet, I don't think. Or maybe I blocked it out. Probably blocked it out.
Give it time.
Yeah.
Give it time. One of you, yeah.
What made you decide on the cover art for your album?
Oh, good question. I saw that X-ray. It is an X-ray on my face. When I was at the dentist, they did a panoramic X-ray, and I've earrings, and I didn't realize earrings glow in an X-ray. I thought that was so cool. When I saw it, and I immediately took note of it, I was like, I might want to use that later. And when we were deciding to put Smoker out, that X-ray came back in my mind because that seemed like something you would get from years of smoking as an X-ray on of your face. And there's a line about earrings in it too, so it seemed fitting. And then I realized as we were deciding to call the record JVC, a literal look inside my own head seemed fitting for it. So yeah, and I liked how hard it looked too. I thought it was kind of scary.
Have you ever vaped on an airplane?
It's such
You see this occasionally.
too scared. I know. I saw my best friend do it one time, and I almost flipped out on him because he hadn't flown as much as I had, but he's also more.
You should.
So
On your
I was-
first flight ever. You
I know.
shouldn't
I was
think.
I thought maybe he just didn't know how serious it was.
Oh, he knew.
But no, he did. I'm sure he did it again afterward. But.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes you see somebody vaping in a restaurant, and you're like, God damn, man, this isn't hard to know not to do.
Oh yeah, some people are shameless about it. Let's just just blow a plume up into the
Yes.
sky.
I was just in Arkansas where my parents live. There's you can smoke in restaurants there. I was like,
Yeah.
oh my God, unbelievable. Sorry. Anybody else? Yes.
Oh yeah, the songs I submitted were Santa Ana's and Northern Lights off of my first EP, and I hadn't put the EP out yet. And like I said, my friend Austin, who I'm gonna come back up here with, produced that whole EP, and yeah, I was really happy with how they turned out, and I felt lucky to have like full productions to send in. I don't play either of them live that much anymore, but Northern Lights is a sweet one. On this last tour, we played that one a couple times, and it was fun to sing some ooze with the crowd with that one.
Earlier we were talking about when you were young. You said that was one of your top 3 MGMT kids.
Yep.
What's the third?
The third's a rotating one. I feel like
Sure.
it's hard for me to because once I feel like I pick 3, it's like over, you
Sure.
know?
Yes.
But
You can't like any more songs.
yeah, right. But a big one's this song called Angry All the Time by Bruce Robison, and
Oh.
Tim McGraw made it famous.
Yeah.
I just really connected with that one when I heard it. So that's my tentative third favorite. But it is definitely MGMT, Kids, and When You Were Young by the Killers are top 2.
I think MGMT Kids, is it Kids or Time to Pretend? One of them is like super big on TikTok right now because I
Oh, I
hear
don't-
my children, I'll hear them listening to MGMT. I'm sure
Yeah.
they have no idea who MGMT is, but big on TikTok.
Hopefully not Time to Pretend. That one's pretty gnarly. The
Yeah.
lyrics in that one.
That's true. That's true.
There's one more over here.
Yeah.
What is it? Ooh. It's not going to be a fun one to answer up here. I think the Nashville music scene is unique to everywhere I've been. That it is extremely collaborative, and that's obviously very obvious in the co-writing sphere. It's huge there, but not just that. I think even if you aren't directly collaborating with each other on a project, everyone there is extremely. There's this mentality that I feel like that there's plenty of room at the top, and everyone is trying to lift each other up and link arms, and the rising tide lifts all ships, kind of thing. Yeah, I think it's particularly potent there. But I have a lot of dear friends that carry that torch here as well.
Well, we all noticed that you said nothing nice about LA. So Jack Van Cleaf, everybody.
Thanks so much, man.